Hi, welcome to Raj and Nai. In this previous video, whichever I have posted earlier, so I have discussed and about script runner. Of course, it's an introduction about script runner and how to integrate script runner with JIRA. So that is what we have discussed in the previous video. Now in this video, I'm going to explain you about the script runner and connect to the workflows, because workflows will create a clarity over the functionality, what is that we are developing in the field of the tasks, what we have taken or the issues. So in context to that, here today I'm explaining about workflows part in reference to the script runner part. You can see in the left hand side where we have different options, because script console is what we have discussed in the previous video. At the same time, I have even discussed with built-in scripts, all that. So this is all we have done earlier. Now, this is where generally workflows is what we are discussing on. So whenever we are discussing on this script runner, here you can see there is an option where we have to click on workflow. Now, whenever we have clicking on it, so here we can see there is an option where we call it as next, where we have to see. Now, here you can see you have to add some workflow extensions and all everything to the existing ones. That's what usually we want to do. At the same time, whatever the status transactions, at the same time, transaction labels, all these things can be added to the existing ones. Prior to this, here you can see there is an option called adding workflow extensions, which will be added to that existing ones for any of the projects, so that we have to click on next here. Not only this, we need to understand about the conditions and validators, whatever the conditions we have in reference to that, and whatever the validators we have, all that. So conditions and validators will also be identified. So, because if you take any backlog, so there are different issues which normally we have. From that issues, from those backlog, whatever the sprints we need to create, like sprint backlogs will be created subsequently. This is how usually a continuous process which normally we follow. This is where generally this part comes into picture. Now, click on next. So whenever we have click on next, it will ask about the post conditions, wherein we have to allow some post conditions, which has to run an automation in the JIRA transactions, because JIRA has an advantage where it will provide some auto options to us, where some functionalities, whatever is required, will update automatically, so that whenever we are working on the administrative part or configuration part in reference to the script runner, which will be easy for the team to understand. So this is where post functions was. So click on it. Now here, this is where generally the basic understanding over the workflows which normally we have to create. Now what we can do is we have an advantage, we have an option where if we want to create any kind of customized workshops in workflows in reference to the script runner can be prepared in later days. This is where generally we can do it, right? This is what it was. Right, so this is what generally we need to know. At the same time, if you want to have any kind of settings to be made and connect to that, whatever the required and relevant settings to it, top right, you can see there is an option for settings. So we can click on that settings and all here, right? So here you can see, right? This is where it is. So here you can see to settings. In this settings, you can see this, right? So client information will be available here. Whatever the URL relating to the client, that will be available here. At the same time, whatever the client key, which normally we have, so the client key also can be seen subsequently here. At the same time, location of the client environment, so that location can be seen here equally. Next here, we need to identify the notification groups, which normally we call it as site admins here, right? So whatever the site admin notification groups has to be. Now, here, this has to be enabled or disabled is what we need to understand, right? So here, there is an option for notify, assign, and as well as reporting, right? So say, because so that we can send notifications to the assignee and reporters of that issue if any kind of script was execution fails, all that stuff. Then generally this assignee will get notification for that. So I'm enabling it. At the same time, exclude groups where we have to choose a user group here. What are the user groups we have created earlier? But make sure we have to create some user groups and all everything earlier. So based on that user groups, what we have created, so this user group selections can be done equally, where we can include some user groups, all that stuff here itself. At the same time, the script time zone has to be mentioned, which time zone are we belongs to. So the time zone we have to mention here, whatever the time zone are we belongs to, all that stuff, that time zone we have to mention, whatever the time zone do we have, right? So those time zones we have to select here. So what are the time zones do we have in all of it? Those time zones we have to select. Right? So different time zones, like here you can see, right? So Indian, right? So different time zones, all that stuff. These time zones has to be selected. So once the scripting of time zone we have selected, different time zones depends on the kind of time zone this will belongs to. Based upon that, the changes way has to be done here. Because time zones, according to our information where we are from where we are locating, so that time zone has to be updated here usually. Right? It can be of anything, right? So Asia, Asian, right? So different time zones can be selected. So followed by, yeah, right. So this time zone has to be selected so that here you can see the location of the time zone will be selected. Next, scriptner enhanced search has to be enabled here so that we can create some filters with enhanced jQuery functions on it. At the same time, we can notify those user interfaces which are currently disabled. That also can be done. Next, filter sync interval period. Filter sync interval period we have to say, wherein I'm selecting 10 as a filter sync interval period, wherein I'm just clicking, right? So here you can see successfully saved settings, right? So we have successfully saved the settings, whatever is required. This is where and how usually these settings, all these things will be done under script runner, followed by the kind of workflows and all of the thing is what it is. In the next coming video, I'm going to discuss about a few more things, something like JQL keyword syncs or something relating to audit logs or migration reports. So these things will be created in the coming videos. If you have any queries in regard to that, please, or if you have any questions, all that, so please reach out to the contact details, which will be posted in below to this video. Thank you.